no good for us. Not a great second half. There's plenty of food for thought. Let's look forward to midweek in the Champions League.
Joao Felix had Chelsea ahead on 16 minutes, but Emerson equalised against his old club just before the half hour. And that is how it stayed. Final score at the London Stadium. West Ham United 1, Chelsea 1.
Cheers, Matt. Thank you, Jason. Yeah, Chelsea, West Ham, 1-1 at London Stadium. Let's start with the positives in terms of, again, we come back to the first half. Joao Felix gives us the lead. Craig Kerr, I spoke to you about it at half-time, Sam, in terms of how well he's integrating into the football club. Looked important, looked big towards it. Even in the second half, you know, the best bits of Chelsea today were largely through Joao Felix.
No doubt about it. He was our most influential player throughout the 90 minutes. More so in the first 45. The game kind of tailed off in the second half for Chelsea and Joao Felix. But no doubt about it, if Chelsea are going to do anything this season, it's going to be off the back of Joao Felix creating things and motivating his teammates. And you even saw it in moments where he was acting like a leader, putting his arm around players, encouraging the team. And let's be honest, Jason said that there was flat second half. There was not much to go at. Needs to be a lot better. Needs to be a lot better. This is a game against West Ham. The West Ham team was struggling at the bottom of the Premier League, and Chelsea just didn't show enough in the second half. There's obviously positives to take from every Chelsea game that we play, but that second half was just not good enough. And yeah, fair enough, there was a penalty shout. We should have been given a penalty. I don't know how they haven't looked at that, but I don't want to go on about it too much because we should be beating the West Ham team that are struggling at the bottom of the table, and it's just not good enough really from Chelsea.
I think that's it, isn't it, Sam, in terms of, you know, we know that, we said it before the game, it's not going to be the finished article today. You know, there's a lot of integration that still needs to come within the squad. There's a lot of players that still get into grips with a new system, a new place to live, all of that stuff. But in terms of the quality we had on the pitch, that's the disappointment, because really, you know, there wasn't a huge amount between the two teams today. And I suppose that's the sad point, is there wasn't a huge amount between the teams because of where West Ham are in the league and the quality that we had out on the pitch the second half.
Yeah, I think we just didn't kick on from when we scored the goal. Even that 20-minute period, we were really dominating the game. Possession was in our favour. West Ham seemed to be pegged back, but then it's been Chelsea's story for quite a few months. Like, that one mistake or that one lapse of concentration can cost you, like you see, a whole game now. Because if we had been flawless defensively, which we have been in our last few games, that could be a 1-0 win. And West Ham wasn't really creating that much. They had a few chances, obviously the offside goal, but it was obviously clearly offside. But apart from that, we were all over them possession-wise. Created more chances in the first half than in the second half. But at the same time, you can say that's down to, you know, players still understanding that the Premier League is relentless throughout the whole game. It's not just the first 45. You know, I'm sure Enzo, Felix, Mudryk, Noni are all still learning that this, we all know, is the hardest league in the world. So you've got to be that relentless throughout the whole game. And, you know, the players that came on, they tried to make the difference. But I think at that point, West Ham were comfortable with the point. They understand that the position that they're in, they understand that they almost stole a goal. So, yeah, it's a disappointing result, but like Kwaku said, there's always positives, and I think the positive is seeing players come in and trying to make that impact. And Joao Felix, for example, being so proactive and putting his arm, like Kwaku said, around his players and saying, you know, we've got to kick on. And I think that's the mentality we need to have moving forward.
Let's have a little chat about, like you said, the positives in terms of, for me too, the biggest positives are the fact that Reece James played full 90, the fact that Ben Chilwell continued his recuperation as well, Ruben as well got minutes. It's important to remember that, because Graham Potter said in chatting to the press in the week about how not only the new players that are coming in, but also players that are coming back from injury. You know, it is going to be a busy period. Borussia Dortmund midweek, Southampton here at the Bridge next Saturday. You do need to rely on a squad, and it's good. It is a squad game. We've got a very strong, big squad, so it's nice to be able to recall some of those players and get minutes back, and also not be in a position where you have to rush players back in.
Well, that's exactly it. I remember we sat here a few weeks ago and our squad was decimated by injury, and it's good to see players coming back to the first team, and it only makes Graham Potter's job easier, because it means he can actually select from a squad. There's been a lot made about how bloated Chelsea's squad is, but you'd rather have a squad of 33 fit players than scrapping around because you've got so many injuries. So it's good to see players come back, and like you said, Reece had a full 90 minutes. I was surprised that he finished the game, but that only bodes well for us because he's such a difference maker. And we saw Ruben come back in the centre midfield and looked comfortable at points. So it's good to see our squad come together, and it's kind of given us an idea of what this team will look like going forward. Obviously, we know that Joao Felix is on loan, and hopefully we can make that permanent because he's been so influential in just the 2 games he's played for Chelsea so far. But the fact that we're getting players back and we're starting to understand what this Chelsea team's going to look like long term is definitely a positive to take.
We are going to have to talk about it, because Chelsea should have had a penalty at the end.
I'm getting vexed thinking about it.
Conor Gallagher's had a shot on goal from the edge of the area. Souček's gone down and it's hit his hand. Yeah, he has. He's palmed it. He's palmed it. I think the disappointing thing from a Chelsea fan's perspective is we know how important those fine margins are. And again, I think, you know, even all of us sat here, it's difficult to say that there was much between the two teams, but those moments can be so important. Not just today, but you can kick on from moments like that. And all of a sudden, it feels like your luck changes. It feels like things happen. It's a really disappointing one because it is a stonewall penalty. And I think there's even one or two West Ham fans that we've all seen online. We've all got West Ham friends that are straight away going, no, it's never a penalty because they know that it is.
But that's the thing. It's like, I don't want to get onto VAR too much, but that's what it's brought in for. That's what it was brought in for. Those finer margins that, you know, the referees and the linesmen don't see. You have the screens in front of you. You can clearly see he dived. Yes, you can say, his arm is quite close to his body, but unfortunately, it hit his hand and it was en route goal. If it was any other situation, hit off another area in his body and hit his arm, I would have said, okay, calm. But to not even look at it, like, we're in a position that we're at now, we need those decisions to go in our favour. And I don't want to hold on to those situations, but at the same time, like you said, it's the finer margins that can win you those games and you can kick on from those moments. But now the narrative's going to be the same thing and then we're going to be talking about VAR again. Like, just get it right. You've got people looking at those screens.
I think that's the important part, isn't it? Because you're absolutely right. It's not the referee's fault. The referee in normal time, none of us saw it really. Like, in normal time, you don't expect the referee to make those calls, but that's what the technology's in for, Quaker. We saw that with the West Ham goal, how long it took to overrule that. The most blatant, obvious offside I've seen in a long time.
I'm not a fan of VAR. I'm not going to sit here and get onto VAR because I will be here for hours. People got stuff to do on a Saturday afternoon. It's, like you said, we took ages to check that clear offside decision where Souček scores a goal, and it's clear offside. We've all seen it, seen multiple angles, and then to not even have a look at the penalty that should have been given for us. It's VAR was brought in to clarify the game and to help referees. And like I say, it's not Craig Pawson's fault. You couldn't see that. But there's a purity to football. There's a purity in terms of how fluid football is, in terms of how, like, people can have different opinions on different decisions. And if you're going to bring in VAR, which slows down the game inherently, then at least have the common decency to do it properly, at least, or get rid of it. But I'm not going to sit here and slate VAR because you make your own luck in football, and we just weren't good enough in the second half. West Ham probably look at it as retribution. Remember the game at the beginning of the season?
Yeah, with Bowen, Mendy.
Yeah, with Bowen, where Bowen came together with Mendy and they scored a goal that was ruled offside, and then Kai Havertz goes to the other end and we score the winning goal. Or it's football swings and roundabouts, and I feel like if you're a team that are performing well and to a high level, you create your own luck and you don't have to rely on penalties to get you through games. So despite the fact that it was a blatant penalty, it swings around.
It was going on goal though, do you know what I mean? And even things like that, for a player like Gallagher, that was, you know, he's been in and out of the squad, there was speculation in the transfer window, that goal would have meant everything to him. If it wasn't blocked illegally, that would have changed everything, do you know what I mean? So it's difficult to take because we know what it would have meant. I'm not saying that we would have scored the penalty because we might not have, but at least let us know that you're trying to make the right decision with the extra help that you have. Like, that's all we ask.
It's a busy week. Borussia Dortmund away now, Quaker, is a tough place to go. It's a big ask, a big test, but I suppose that's where you find out. You know, that's where you find out what you're made of, and Chelsea are a football club that tends to stand up when the chips are down, and usually in the Champions League.
100%. We rise from the ashes, especially when it comes to European football. And it's a bit of respite, really, if we're being honest. The league, we're in a difficult position right now. Top four looks like it's a task and a half to kind of reach that goal. Champions League, you never know what can happen. I know Borussia Dortmund, it's a tough place to go, but we've gone to tougher places and won. And with Chelsea in the Champions League, Chelsea fans never want to admit it. We've always got that thing in the back of our mind that we're in with a chance, and I definitely think we're in with a chance playing against Borussia Dortmund in the round 16. Get a win on Wednesday, things look a little bit different. We utilise the squad, obviously we know about the registration issues, so we get to see some different players play in the Champions League, and like I say, provides a bit of respite from league form because we're struggling in the league, let's be honest about it. And the Champions League, we normally go pretty well in that competition, so I'm excited for Wednesday night.
On that, Sam, defensively, obviously, Benoit Badiashile unavailable. He's been ever-present since he made break into the team. Who do you start at the centre of defence?
Oh, it's a tough one because I think Trevor's been on the bench a few times. I think that would be like my go-to player because every time he steps in, every Chelsea fan can admit he's been solid. He's just been unfortunate, you know, the position that he plays in Thiago Silva's just been ever present and been incredible. And obviously, I think Graham Potter favours a left-footed centre back on the other side. But also for fun, I've seen a few videos from him. He's looking really good in training. Obviously, it might be too soon to make him start a game straight away, but if he's feeling good, then why not? I think that's two great options to start. So yeah, I think there's players there that can step in.
Absolutely right. It's our competition, isn't it? Kings of Europe twice.
We could do it, man. Why not? Why not, man?
Good things come in threes, don't they? Good things come in threes. Let's have a little look at what is coming up this week on the Fifth Stand Up. And plenty for you to get stuck into, of course, including the big one on Wednesday evening. Before that, we'll have live training for you on Tuesday. Manager's press conference and one of the players as well that we sat alongside him. 7:15, you can join us for that one as we are away at Dortmund in the Champions League. Right, one word to sum up this afternoon / start of the morning. Sam?
I'm going to be honest, disappointing.
Oh, you nicked my word. I'll go a bit more extreme. Gutted.
Okay, boys, brilliant work as always. Thank you very much. Yeah, unfortunately, it wasn't the start to the weekend that we all wanted. Chelsea sharing the spoils at the London Stadium. It finishes 1 apiece. Make sure you join us on Wednesday when we go up against Borussia Dortmund in the UEFA Champions League. Have a good weekend.